pastor of a local Durham church. And in case you haven't noticed, I'm a white man. My being white has everything to do with why I am here today, as my color colors my experience of living in our city. When I listen to the stories of my black and brown neighbors and friends and church members, and then compare those to my own, I see two Durhams. In every quality of life indicator, significant disparities exist between white people and people of color, resulting in two very different experiences in two very different Durhams. There are few arenas in which the two Durhams appear more clearly than in law enforcement. The statistics speak loudly for themselves, and I have lived half of the story that they tell. As a Duke undergrad, I lived in a fraternity house that had a river of illegal drugs running through it, but never were any of us arrested for possession or distribution, and never was any of our several off-campus houses raided. You see, we lived in the Durham where there is nothing to fear from the police. But were we people of color, or even just living in another part of Durham, I doubt we could have been so carefree. That was over 15 years ago. But the current geographic concentration of drug arrests in our city suggests that very little has changed. I recently saw the two Durhams again in vivid contrast when a young boy went missing on a Friday afternoon. 6 hours after the first several frantic 911 calls from the boy's mother, a police car came and a report was taken. At 7 p.m. the next day, I was called to come and pray with the family. I was shocked to learn that in spite of nearly a dozen calls that day, there had been no more contact with the family by the police. No officer presence, no Amber Alert, nothing. So I decided to call. And within 5 minutes, 2 squad cars arrived. In another hour, a silver alert was issued. Now, was that a coincidence? The knowing looks and the shaking heads of all the people gathered there that day, all black folks, told me otherwise. You see, a middle-class white man with a position and a title lives in a very different Durham than a low-income black mother. Because of my respect for the Durham police and believing that law enforcement has a critical role to play in the flourishing of our city, and because of my love for Durham, I join with Fade in asserting that there is a culture of racism that exists within our police department and perpetuates the experience of two Durhams. So for the sake of every officer and for the sake of every citizen, and in the hope that we might become one Durham, this culture must be acknowledged and it must be confronted. Therefore, I urge the City Council to meet the demands listed in the Fade Manifesto. Thank you.